Time for ads, social media and aeroplanes. Vaughn Davis, of course, twitter.com/Vaughn Davis, tgf.co.nz.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Who's just flown into the country 3 hours ago. The average person would be asleep by now.
Exactly. I'm not the average person.
No,
I'm drunk in a
obviously.
lethal cocktail of fatigue, jet lag, and, well, actually alcohol. So, hi there.
South by Southwest, of course, is where you went,
Yes.
but you picked up a magazine on the way.
I picked up a magazine on the way. There's been a lot of buzz around this over in the States. The 5th season of Mad Men is about to hit, and they've been promoting it in a really, really cool way. Not through advertising, but through branded placement. So there's a couple of things. You can buy the entire Mad Men men and women's wardrobe from one of the big chain stores, maybe Bloomingdale's, I'm not sure, can't remember. You can buy all the cosmetics, which is, if you're into cosmetics,
Yeah.
the nail polish, the lipstick. Or you can buy this week's edition of Newsweek, which, it's a cover story, but what they've done has gone well beyond that. And this is in collaboration with the show's creative. What's his name? Can't remember. Come in, caller. Anyway, and the front, the ads. So every advertiser in this episode of Newsweek has created a retro ad.
Oh, what? So it looks like a magazine from the 50s.
It looks like a magazine from 1965 is what they're shooting for. So,
Okay.
this booze ad is absolutely, in the style of a 60s
Wow.
booze ad.
So every advertiser in that magazine wants to be part of this Mad Men
They want to
buzz.
be part of the Mad Men thing. Like British Airways has run a big ad, but they've run their ad as BOAC, which you may know is the predecessor of British Airways in the 60s.
I mean, am I just being nostalgic, but don't those ads actually look better?
They do look pretty cool. There was
Yeah.
there's a lot more craft went into the ads back in the day. Here's a Johnny Walker one. Interesting, this Johnny Walker one.
I really love the fonts. Fonts.
Oh, I know, they're sort of, they are beautiful. But this may well have run in the 60s, I need to check. But the messaging is unchanged and the brand is unchanged.
Yeah.
So very, very cool work.
Any cigarettes in there?
No. Actually, you know what? That's what takes away the ring of truth. Because if it was, the back page would be Camel, pretty
Can't
much.
you still do cigarette advertising?
You can.
In magazines
Yeah,
in
you
the
can.
States?
You can in the States. They're full of them. But for some reason,
Yeah.
there are none in here.
Interesting.
Don't know why.
Well, that's really interesting. So that's a whole revenue stream for the TV show and the makers.
really, really clever stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
I mean, George Lucas made all his money off Star Wars through merchandising.
Yeah.
And it's through the magazine tie-ins here and the clothing line and whatever else they bring out. That I think the Mad Men people will make their money too.
No, I know it seems probably an age ago, but there was this thing called South by Southwest only last weekish.
I know.
And interactive music and movies.
Yeah, so summing up for people who don't know about it, the biggest event of any kind I've ever been involved with other than being part of the human population, I think. By some measures, up to 100,000 people descend upon this town, the capital of Texas, Austin, in the southwest, hence the name and the Hitchcock reference, for 3 festivals in one. So interactive starts on day one, as does film. Film runs the whole time, around, I think, 9 days of film. And after interactive finishes, music starts. So thousands of really interesting panels, speakers, networking events, parties. We could talk about the parties all night. No, it's daytime, isn't it? We could talk about the parties all day, and then music, which I kid you not, 2,000 bands came to South by Southwest to try and make their break. It was where Flight of the Conchords made their break in 1996 in the US.
So you travelled all the way to Austin to see some New Zealand bands play.
I actually did. I went to the Kiwi Music Showcase on the Thursday night, which is just so cool. You're coming from absolute full-on America to it's like you're in Grey Lynn. Everyone's just sitting on the grass, having a beer, listening to Cairo Knife Fight, listening to Avalanche City in a tent with about 100 people.
Cool.
It's like a private show.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a great thing.
Nice. And tell us about the interactive side of things, because that's where a lot of buzz. I mean, Twitter exploded originally.
Yeah, Twitter went hard. Foursquare went hard when they were both sort of leapt into the public consciousness. This year it was kind of the year of Pinterest and the year of the interest graph. So understanding what we as individuals and what we as populations are into. But the other really interesting
data
thing,
mining.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could say that in a sort of crude sense. But at a granular level, we talked about this before I went. The sort of ambient social ads, Glancy and Highlight, which should actually be called Guylight, because 95% of the people on Highlight are blokes. In truth,
these are really creepy.
They are
apps.
really creepy. So you've got the app, I've got the app. We don't know each other, and suddenly, bing, in our pocket it says, "Hey, Glenn's over there. You might like him because he's got 25 things in common with you, and here he is on the map." But you've opted into this. But what interests me is using that information at a population level So, I was sitting in a bar with a guy called Vaughn. What a coincidence. Vaughn Rousel, who's a Kiwi. He's working up in San Francisco. And we were saying, well, if we all had this app, the bar could know, sort of passively, what kind of music we were into. And it could automatically play that kind of music.
Yeah.
Or it could know that we're all into sports. So the TV could be playing what we're most into. And we'd end up being in the bar longer and buying more beer. And I think that's pretty cool.
It's also like that idea that, that advertisers have had for a while, that if you could pass a bus stop that was playing ads, that would suddenly tailor the ads.
Yeah, and this can happen. I mean, that whole Minority Report thing, I think where that misses the point is they trying to do it to one person, and just the resource and to give up some screen space to tailor, to target an ad to one person, even if it is Tom Cruise. But let's say you had a digital billboard, and we'll talk about digital billboards in a minute.
Yeah.
If you had a digital billboard that you changed based on the kind of people who are walking past, so if you detected from these apps installed on people's phones that it's 80% women and they're into indie music, suddenly you start serving some indie music content on the billboard. Or if they're guys into rugby, you start serving Adidas or rugby content. So pretty neat.
But
I think.
As its original purpose being a social app to meet new people, how is that?
Pretty stalky, pretty scary. And I asked one of the founders of Glancy, I said, well, if I've got this in my pocket, I'm dropping a breadcrumb every 2 minutes, more or less. It's complicated. What do you do with that data? He said, we keep it forever. And I said, okay, and which is fine if Hansel and Gretel are just going out and being Hansel and Gretel. But what if Hansel's hooking up with Susan and doesn't want Gretel to know about it, and this data exists, and and then I said, would you give it to law enforcement? And he said, well, we haven't really faced that yet, but I guess that means yes.
Crikey.
So everything interesting is a bit spooky, a bit creepy.
What about homeless Wi-Fi hotspots?
Homeless Wi-Fi hotspot. This is indicative of the noise to signal ratio at South by Southwest. I never saw these guys at all.
Okay.
This was the big controversy. This was the big buzz. I had 5 people contact me from home. I believe I'm going on the telly next week to talk about it. Never saw it. There was so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Every street, every corner, every room is busy, busy, busy. But what happened? You could smell it from a mile away. So it was a New York-based advertising agency. A junior team thought, here's an award-winning opportunity to draw attention to the plight of the homeless. Attention is drawn. They know there are homeless.
Yeah.
So they gave them those little MiFi sort of miniature Wi-Fi hubs and a GSM connection, and they just basically walked around with T-shirts saying, "Hi, I'm Vaughn. I'm a Wi-Fi hub, and if you paid this money, you could get 15 minutes of access," which is better than just being intimidated into handing over the coins. And if you wanted to, they'd walk with you to where you were going to make sure you had, because Wi-Fi was the currency. You wanted to get good Wi-Fi at South by Southwest, especially if you're a tight ass Kiwi and couldn't afford data. So speaking of digital billboards,
only one minor step to put one on a chain and to take that around with you.
Exactly, and have them fight or dance for your pleasure. So controversial.
And you're mentioning digital billboards.
Yes, this is interesting. I was out for an after breakfast stroll with a guy whose name some of you might remember from here, Adam Good, who's currently working for BBDO, which is a agency group out of San Francisco. And we'd heard about a thing which I'll show you up close, called the Nike Plus Fuel Band. Is that still illuminated?
Yeah.
There we go. And what this is, it's a sort of a 3D motion sensor that you sort of wear constantly. It looks a bit like a Lance Armstrong band, if you like, except black. And it measures your activity throughout the day. It looks a bit like a home detention bracelet.
Yes, it does, yeah.
But it's actually really motivating, because as you get through the day, you can go,
What's it telling you?
It's telling you calories expended, steps taken, a measure they call fuel, which I don't fully understand, but is the base measure. And sort of along the top there, you can see the little red thing there? That goes red, orange, green when you get to your target, and it does fireworks and shit when you get to the end. So it makes you want to take the stairs instead of taking the elevator.
So this is a real product that they want people to buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they launched
this.
They launched this, and they did it at South by because they wanted people, like me, I guess, to be doing this. I
thought all that kind of stuff can be built as an app into a phone.
Well, no, I suppose it can, but this I don't know. There must be a reason why this is better. I was sucked in, so we joined the queue, because there's queues for everything, and queue is all about exclusivity and scarcity and making things feel special. We got into this retail space, which is the size of, I don't know, 3 tennis courts, beautiful, beautiful place, and the staff had all been trained for weeks just on how to sell these things. And then we stepped outside, and there was a digital billboard across the road promoting it, and it was about the length of an average residential block of houses in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Biggest digital billboard I've ever seen. Beautiful sports imagery all over it, and the hashtag they wanted us all to use to spread the word, which was #counts. The idea is every step counts.
Right.
Sadly for them, one of the images of the word counts featured a basketballer placed squarely and completely over the O. So I don't need to spell this out, but we, Adam being from Australia and I'm from New Zealand, we, pretty filthy compared to the average American, and we just started giggling, and I ran across the road and took a photo, and one of the Nike guys says, "Hey sir, can I ask what's so funny?" In a sort of earnest way.
And is it,
and it had been there for 3 days. This thing is, honestly, it's, you could hide a Boeing 747 behind that word. And it had been there for 3 days, and no one had noticed it.
It's ridiculous.
So we told them, and to their credit, boy, the machine swung into operation. It was gone.
It was gone
quickly, but still available online. I think the National Business Review, bless them, ran a story. So if you search my name on NBR,
I'd imagine that's a pretty popular hashtag regardless.
Oh, it probably is. Yeah. Pack of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it was pretty funny. And how did it get that way? My best theory is that there was some really pissed off Mac operator at 2 a.m, been working 3 weeks straight on this project, and got one more change from the agency.
Yeah.
Said, right, screw you. Just slipped it in, and there we go. Yeah.
All right, so that was South by Southwest.
Everything's bigger in Texas, even those.
Yes, finally on to aeroplanes. Was your flight satisfactory, sir?
Oh, the aeroplanes. Yeah, although I felt a bit guilty because Cactus Kate, a very sort of high-profile New Zealand blogger, and a guy called Ben Keeps, who's another New Zealand blogger, sort of had an online discussion a couple of weeks ago around business class and the entitlement to. Did you read those?
No.
Interesting. Yeah, and Cactus Kate's.
Oh, this is around airports.
Yeah, they've just changed their rules,
Yeah.
so upgrades are a little bit harder to get now. I'm an upgrade guy.
You got an auction. It's basically
they've gone to an auction thing, and Kate's point of view, bless her, is that if you can't afford to be there, you shouldn't be there, and the fewer smelly-footed people who are in there with me, the better. And to the point where almost as I opened my business class amenity packet, I felt guilty. I felt like I was stealing from the rich. I really, really did. I felt like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
But no, the flight was great. No mental fatigue that I could detect on my 747.
Okay, oh, that's good.
Although the ATR, the regional twin turboprop fleet, I understand has been grounded and ungrounded in the last week. But mental fatigue's a funny old thing. If you wonder why all airliners, for a very long time, were American and not British, it's because
better steal.
Well, no. It was the British who taught us about aeroplane mental fatigue. They designed a beautiful jetliner. The first commercial jetliner in the late 1940s was called the de Havilland Comet. Absolutely beautiful. Well ahead of the Boeing 707. Everyone wanted it. But they designed a couple of windows with square corners rather than round corners. And what happens when you go flying in an airplane? It's like a balloon in one sense. And you're pressurized, right? You stay at sea level pressure. Well, that's like putting really, really high pressure inside the airplane if you're on the ground. So as you go up, the airplane expands. As you come down, the airplane contracts. And that's known as a cycle. And every cycle, expand, contract. It's like if you've got a fork, right?
Yeah.
Bend it once, bend it back, bend it once, bend
It'll
it back.
eventually
And
crack.
there will be a number of cycles at which it will crack. And if that fork had a little scratch or a little cut in it, that's where it would crack. And the British taught us that that's exactly what would happen.
Interesting.
And I see from the stories I've read anyway, the ATR cracking is close to a window. Don't know if it's associated.
There you
with
go.
window.
So when you're on the next flight and you're looking at the window, that's why the little edges are rounded.
That's exactly why they're rounded. It's not
Yeah.
because you get a better view with a round window.
Yeah.
It's because it spreads the stress of this, inflation, deflation. I mean, your typical airliner is, their life cycle or their cycles that they can withstand in their lives is, 30, 40, 50,000. So it's a lot of cycles.
Interesting. tgf.co.nz to see this as a video once more, share it around, all that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna
Vaughn
sleep
Davis on Twitter. Yeah, goodbye.